welcome to another episode of the Open Book Bestie Show. I'm Misty Walker.
And I'm Kay Webster.
And we did kind of like a little poll last time on our last show, asking like who was listening. Is it readers? Is it authors? Like who's our audience? Our limited audience.
Yeah.
And we found out the majority are authors.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so we are going to kind of switch focus into gearing it mostly towards authors, but we will still be talking about things we're reading, that kind of thing.
Yeah. And the stuff we're writing and working on. So if we're, wanting to know about that kind of stuff, we'll throw that in there.
We'll still have that, but
yeah, we just kind of have gone, a whole year. Happy anniversary to us. We just passed that on May the 4th. And we've just thought, after a year of just flying by the seat of our pants, it's like time to, maybe provide some value to people instead of just listening to us, ramble
for an hour
about whatever comes to mind. So at least now we have kind of a plan. It's not a real outline because we don't do those.
We don't do that.
But that's good enough. A lot of people, I was watching listening to an audiobook the other day, and the guy said, he prepares for his speech by, outlining for a whole day on Tuesday, and then Wednesday he thinks about it, and then on Thursday he recites it, and then on Friday he practices in front of his friends. I was like, no. That's we're good to get to have gotten just some like little bullet point notes,
basic notes,
right before we got on.
yeah.
That's us improving and leveling up.
Maybe someday we'll reach that stage, but it's highly unlikely.
Right, baby steps, we're trying. So we were trying to think of something that might be helpful, and I actually had this question posed to me yesterday. Someone messaged me out of the blue, and she was like, hey, I have some questions. I don't really know why she asked me, but I was like, oh, I'm happy to help. Yeah, I mean, I just don't know. When people ask me stuff, I'm like, what do I know? But I was like, maybe I do know some things. And she was like, basically, she wanted to know how she could try and increase her sales without spending any money, because she's going through some financial times or whatever, so she needs her books to perform more than ever, but she doesn't have the money to try and get a BookBub deal, which is very expensive if you're not, and yes, those yield great financial results for a lot of people if you get selected. Right, which I try all the time and I don't get selected.
I've been trying for 3 years and I've never been selected.
Right. And then it's like, okay, so if you get selected, you will, pay your $800 or whatever it ends up being. And then you've got like places like, is it FreeBooksy and those kinds of places where you pay a fee, which is cheaper than BookBub. The results aren't as wide, but they're still good. But again, that's an expense. And then, of course, ads. People spend a lot of money on ads, and for really results that maybe
gambling.
that aren't really making such a difference. I don't know. A lot of people swear by ads and they say they make their money back, but like, again, you have to front up that money to hope that you get that money. And for someone like me, I don't want to shell out thousands and thousands of dollars and hope that I triple, quadruple that amount, because what if I don't? Right. So we were just talking about how you and I, like, we spend a lot of money willy-nilly on just goofy things all the time, but there are things that we do all the time that don't cost us anything, and they do help. They're pretty impactful. So we brainstormed earlier and we came up with 7 ways to increase your sales without spending any money. Yes. So we thought that we would go down the line, and The first one, I'll let you start with that, is social media.
Social media. Yes. It costs you nothing to post on your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram, and your TikTok. TikTok, you do not have to show your face. I know some authors do not want to, but I would encourage you to maybe get over that, because TikTok is more of like a personable community. You'll get better results if your audience feels drawn to you or connected to you. And it's really, really, really hard to do that if you're not showing yourself. Of course you can post page flips where you just video flipping a page and then put a little, something very grabbing. We're romance authors, smut sells, so if you can make it a little bit scandalous without getting flagged, then all the better. But really what your viewers are going to respond to is you.
Right.
So,
because you are, I mean, that idea right there is basically what is the thread of this whole entire thing we're going to talk about. But you are your brand. People are 99% of the time, once they get to see you and know you, they're buying because they like who you are as an author. They've read one of your books, they trust that you have a good story. Now they're connecting with you on a personal level. And as you continue to build your brand, then they have that trust factor there, and they're going to just be there to support you no matter what. So then it's just about building it and building that network of people that also feel that way. So the TikTok thing, it's like, I don't like to wear makeup a lot. It's like a monumentous event for me to put it on, and the filters are cheesy and funny, but I don't want to do those all the time because I don't want to like totally make myself like unrecognizable. So a lot of the times I will just show books, but I do make sure I get my voice on there. A lot of them you hear me being silly and talking and, waving the book around and flipping the pages and going, ooh, ah, because they're still connecting that voice with the post that I do my face or my profile picture or whatever. So, but like you said, I know some people, because of their jobs, outside of being an author, they don't want to show their face, or maybe because the stuff that they write doesn't line up to their home life or, social life or whatever. So they don't want their peers to see what they're doing or whatever. And that's fine. I mean, that was kind of the whole point of like a pen name, but it's just, you and I have both seen like actual monetary success because we have stepped up our putting ourselves out there. Even with this podcast, like this is putting ourselves out there in a new and different way. And I mean, a lot of people think of us as like a duo, like Misty and Christy, like, when they think of us, and they can picture our faces. And I think that helps, and like at the book signing, it was like easy for them to connect us together. Oh, that's Misty and Christy,
Yeah.
like your readers who knew you were like, oh, that must be Christy. And the readers that knew me were like, oh, that must be Misty. So it's like, there's some like recognition there. And that's kind of what you're aiming for, like, obviously we don't get flagged down at like Starbucks, like, oh my gosh, that's my favorite author, Misty, will you sign my book? Like, we'll probably never be there. And I actually hope we aren't, because that would be mortifying for me, because I just would be like, oh my God. Because
I don't know about you, but that's my goal.
that's your goal. Yeah, see, but that's because you always walk out of the house looking like that. I always walk out of the house with my hair sticking up 9 different directions and no makeup on. So it would be
I don't leave my house, so that's easy to accomplish. I will never get recognized because I don't leave my house.
Right. Okay. So you can just pretend all you want. Yeah, I'll pretend from my house too. I hope that people find me. But yeah, that's, and then you want your with TikTok, and then carry it across all the social media platforms. So that, like we said, that's not costing you money to make that TikTok. It's costing you.
No, and each social media you have to brand completely differently. Like on Facebook, they're going to respond to teasers, so you have to, if you can make your own teasers, that's great. Instagram, they're going to respond to something beautiful, whatever that is, or even just, again, putting yourself out there, a picture of you holding your book, or take your book place, whatever. You have to go differently, because TikTok is very much, you have to either speak or go with the trends, which is really, really hard to do, especially as a 42-year-old woman. Right. I have a hard time with some of those trends because they're so just meant for the younger crowd, it's so hard.
Well, and like, I see people and they do their little dances, and that's good on them. I don't dance. But I will use a trending sound while I run around my office pointing at books. So you still can be yourself and find your like little, area that makes you feel comfortable, but still try to tap into those trends. And if you're like, well, I don't even know what the trends are or what the songs are, ask any kid, and they
or just Google it. If I Google right now trending sounds on TikTok, it will come up with a list. Like Google is your best friend with TikTok, because somebody is writing an article about it like the second it happens.
Right. And then so now you've got the sound that you can go follow, and and just try to make it something that's comfortable for you, something that you would enjoy watching, something that you're not going to feel awkward or like, and even you and me, we do totally different things. Like the stuff that, like, yours is more like helpful, and sometimes you tell these like really interesting stories that'll make you laugh and stuff, and mine tend to be more like silly, and we just totally represent ourselves different ways, but we both are doing the dang thing. We both,
it's kind of hard to swallow your pride a little bit,
right?
I don't know. You're a pretty goofy person, so it probably comes a little bit more naturally to you. But I'm not a generally goofy person. So it takes it, like, I have to like, center myself and meditate and be like, okay, I can do this.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Well, and one of the things that's been helpful to me is I will sit down, like have like a little, and this will come back into one of the other points that we have, and we'll talk about it more later, but like taking a moment to figure out what I want to do, get myself made up, and then just record, save,
record.
Right. And then put them all in there. And then that way you're not, on the days when you had 3 no makeup days in a row, you've still got content to put out there. So and then I think maybe it was Willow Winters that told me that it's like the optimum amount to post is 3 times a day.
3 times a day. Yeah.
And so I'm like, I still am barely getting 1 time a day. So I'm fixing to up it. But even from going from once a week or twice a week to now every single day, my website sales have just, so I can see that it converts to money. Like I can actually see where it's coming from, and I don't know if you're this way, but I'm like such a nerd with the metrics and the analytics of the website and the Google traffic and like all the stuff, and so I actually like to see where they're clicking, where they're coming from, it's fun. It's interesting. So it definitely, and people say, well, nobody wants to follow me. Well, the thing with TikTok is it's not so, oh, you're popular, so we're only going to share you. They'll just make anything viral.
Yeah, I mean, anything and anyone at any time, anything you post has the potential to go viral. And that's like the best part about it. And that's why I was such a small author when I started on TikTok, but because I was posting content that people responded to, I'm now up to almost 24,000 followers in no time at all.
Yeah, it's amazing. And then and you got to be like ready to deliver. Like, so don't just go out there and think, oh, I hope I'm going to be viral. Like, make sure you've got your link in your bio that's going to take them to one of your books or to your website or to whatever, so they know a little bit about you. Because it's like all they need is that one little thing to get hooked on, and then they want to go learn more about you. You've got to have other things there for them, and to make them to make the most of that viral moment. And what's funny is, like, you've gone viral for like your horses, okay?
I went
Which,
viral for something stupid. Yeah.
right, but that's like, it's annoying because it was like, okay, that went viral, but that didn't really equate into anything. But then, like, you'll have a video that only got what, like 2 or 4,000 views or something, but suddenly you've just made a crap ton of money on your website, and it's from that video. And
Yeah.
people
Or
are,
you see your royalties skyrocket for that
right,
day.
yeah, and so people are disillusioned to think, oh, I've got to go viral and get 1 million views. No, like, I have made a ton of money off of a post that got 1,100 views.
Yeah.
And it's because, I mean, it's just the way it is. And so it's worth doing that. I know it doesn't cost you anything except for the time. So if you're really serious about bringing up your sales, yes, there is going to be some work involved. And this is one of the things that we know from experience, that it does equate into actual cold hard cash. So,
Yeah.
And then the other thing I was going to mention over there was regularly engaging in like groups and stuff. Like, you have a readers group, I have a readers group. We pop in on Facebook and stuff all the time, Instagram. And when people were, commenting about this or that, if you recognize one of the readers or you think that's cool, give them a little heart and say, oh, that's cute, or whatever. I mean, be genuine, but that is how people begin to remember you and see you, because they think, oh, that author who I read one of her books, she saw my picture on Facebook of my dog and said, that's cute, that's a cute puppy, or whatever. And then, yeah, exactly, like that little baby there. and and then they would they remember that. And
Yeah.
it's not just about getting sales and taking their money, it's about building relationships, because a lot of this isn't just like a one sale and done. Like, you're looking for your super fans here, your lifelong readers, and you want to build that connection and relationship with them because they support you, and
Yeah.
that makes you happy.
Yeah.
Right?
And some authors can do without it. Some authors just they are good at ads, really good at ads, and they don't need to be posting all the time, and they don't need, but that is like 0.5% of all authors out there.
Right.
So
Yeah.
the majority of us have to work a little bit harder and build relationships. And
right. And I think since we've also seen like a change with the way the ads and stuff are being delivered, and just the way they're doing things, I've seen a lot of people talk about how they're not really, making their money back on their ads. And so it's like, sometimes it's time to switch things up. And I mean, I told you last August I turned off all of my ads, and I switched gears, and I started really focusing on all the stuff that we're talking about in this podcast. And it really has helped. And it's really like increased my income like a whole lot from the year before. And I only, last year, I only published 8 times compared to 23 the year before. So for
right.
me to have made lots more money last year compared to the year before, and taken away ads for half the year, really says something. So that's because I didn't just take the ads off and do nothing. I took the ads off and also did these other things. So
Yeah.
one of the things that I think has helped tremendously, and you will hear me like harping about this all the time, is stepping up your newsletter. And you and I both have really worked hard on our newsletters in the past year. I took that class by Alana Albertson, and she teaches 6-figure authors, I think is the course. I took that one. And then I also took her newsletter course, and she gave me the information in a way that I could understand. Like, I'd read the Newsletter Ninja and stuff, but it wasn't really computing. But when I took her course, it was like, it made a whole lot more sense to me the way she explained it. But basically, the way I was doing my newsletters all those years before was like, hey, I got a new release, let me tell you about it.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a new release, let me tell you about it. And that was fine, I guess, because I was releasing like every 2 weeks, it seemed like, or every month. And so that's what I had to talk about. And they were
But it
there.
was strictly books. It was just
Right. There was nothing
no
personal.
personality.
Yeah. And she started telling me that she'll put pictures of her dogs and just all this stuff. And I started thinking, and I remember telling you, I think I need to do some more personal stuff. And you're like, yeah, because you really just don't put anything out there. And I was like, oh, I don't, and it was kind of like, a lot of people, their first instinct is to say, well, it's my private life. They don't need to know. Well, you can still share things about yourself.
Without sharing anything about
Right.
yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not telling you to go tell where your kids go to school and how old they are and, what they
Even
look like.
post, yeah, you don't have to post
Yeah.
pictures of your kids.
You don't have to do anything. You can just take a picture of your coffee sitting out on the counter and next to your creamer. That's
Yeah,
my
or if you go on vacation, shoot a
yeah,
picture of the sunset or whatever.
right. Yeah, I mean, and shoot a picture of you standing by the mailbox waiting for your books to be delivered, or maybe just the mailbox without the address. I don't know,
Yeah.
anything. Just basically anything is fine. But the more that like I send a lot with like a selfie, and I always have like a cheesy one, and so many times like that's the first picture that they'll see, and people will reply back, oh, I just loved your cute face in the newsletter, and I'm like, oh, it was not cute, but they thought it was, and
Yeah.
that's why they opened it, and they liked seeing my face, like it was like a welcome, like, hey, let's see what we're going to read about in this newsletter, and I changed the tone of my newsletter to where it's like talking to you instead
Yeah.
of this is what I have, go buy it, okay? Um, you know what I'm saying? And I know that you're doing the same thing because I read your newsletters and they're really good too. And what do you got to say
And
about
I'm
that?
also trying to, I found this to be, I don't even know if I saw it in yours or someone's newsletter, where it was like an opening message and then just like this tiny little piece that said, this is what's in this newsletter.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And just by having that in there so that people can be like, oh, there's news about this, there's news about this, and that immediately grabs them. Whereas just like a whole blanket email with tons of information. But if they see like cover reveal and new release or whatever, they're like,
Preview.
oh, yes, I want to go and check that out,
Right.
So
Yeah.
I found that is,
Yeah, like a little mini table of contents and
yeah.
at the beginning. Yeah, like little bullet points, definitely.
Yeah, I always say something like, in case you're in a hurry, this is what's,
Yeah, and admittedly newsletters take a little bit to do. um Sometimes it takes me a couple hours to put mine together because it's just a lot of links that I want to include and double check, and I know that I'm pretty OCD,
yeah.
so it may not take everybody else that long.
I pawned mine off on my PA.
Yeah, see,
So now I just email her and I'm like, hey, let's do this. Here's the pictures, I'll check it out before you send it. And
right,
my
but
life is so much better.
you're paying her to do that. We're talking about
Okay, yeah.
here, okay? I slave away for 2 hours cursing the newsletter gods. No, I think there are some like newsletter places that are easier to work with. I'm just now getting to where I understand MailChimp, but I do like it, and I like that I can like copy the one before and then remove content and then switch out pictures and and whatever. So.
And this is like a huge money saving tip for authors. MailChimp is freaking expensive.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard, especially when your subscribers creep up in numbers.
Right.
It gets really pricey. So I invite everyone to go check out Flowdesk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's much cheaper. It was $19. I think they might have raised the cost, or we're thinking about raising the cost, but no matter how many subscribers you have. So if you are a newer author and you want to check that out, right. I don't work for them. I don't get paid by them, but I use them and I can't say enough good things.
And I use them for my Patreon because Holly does help me get that set up. but for my main one, I use MailChimp, but it is like $265 a month. It's like,
Yeah.
because it, like you said, every time you get new subscribers, it grows, and it's more, every time I turn around, it's like $10 more. And I'm like, dang it, but then it's like, okay, I did get new subscribers, so it makes sense, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't had the courage to like really switch it over or anything yet. So for now, I just make that one of my just costs that I need to spend.
Yeah.
And then where I save my money is I have to write it all out myself.
Yeah. The only issue with Float that you'll get with Mailchimp and you don't get with Flowdesk, it has all of the automations, all of that, but there's not a lot of integration. So if you're doing book funnel or you're doing, different things like that, there's no integrations. You have to download your list of subscribers and then import it into Flowdesk, which is another step. But
Right.
for
And
me,
see,
it's worth it to save the $240 a month.
yeah. And then, well, see, and I remember before I had integrations with MailChimp, I would just let all those subscribers sit in a
Yeah, it's easy
file.
to forget.
And then I would think, well, it's been like 6 months. I'm not going to go upload them now. And then they're going to think, where did you come from? I didn't sign up for this, when they'll have forgotten
Yeah,
6 months ago that they did. And so I was like, it's going to be better if it does it automatically right
the
then.
integrations is
And so I
a
did make
big
that
deal.
choice, and it did cost me more. So I guess it's just depends on where you want to do your work.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
if you made a point to, again, we'll talk about this later, but put that on your schedule, then that's something you could do every month or every 2 weeks or whatever and get it done. Oh, with the newsletter, we talked about making it personable, telling stories. People like to know about what's going on in your life, whether it be something that you're feeling challenged with or something that you are feeling joyful about, or when you've gone through hard times, you've talked about how you're sad or whatever, so your workload isn't going out, or you're sick. Like, people are interested in you and your well-being, and it gives them a little update. And kind of like when we went to the book signing, talked about getting to see you and things like that. The readers want to hear those stories, so it's good to tell stories, and just whatever you're feeling comfortable about telling, like it could be anything. And so, and then the other thing that I was going to say, and then to like be consistent, like try to keep doing the same thing. And one thing about consistency that I will say is, I started in January doing my regular monthly newsletter with all my updates and all the excitement and the cover reveals and the new releases and all that stuff. But then I have the monthly spotlight one, and it's just focusing on one book, and it's just an old book that nobody really talks about anymore. And I literally devote the entire newsletter just to that book, and I talk about like where my inspiration came from, and like just fun little pictures I took over the years of those books, or merch that I was wearing, or talk about the audiobook if it has one, or if it's in a foreign language, talk about that. The blurb, the excerpt, like a real steamy excerpt, or emotional one, or something to really make them go, "Ooh, this sounds really good." And I kid you not, every single month, that is my biggest seller of the month. So that right there
Yeah.
tells me my newsletter is a huge portion of where my sales come from. So it makes sense to nurture it and grow it and really, streamline it to make sure that it continues to get more and more. And then the other thing I was going to say on that is, someone, I don't even remember who, told me that I need to be putting all the links on Amazon. So like, they're wide books, but what I'll do is I'll say Amazon, Barnes and Noble, blah, blah, blah. But then in really small, like hyperlinked, not buttons, but hyperlinked, I'll say like Amazon, Japan, Amazon, Mexico, Amazon, whatever. And it, like, whatever their little short codes are, and link them exactly over there to it, and I have people clicking on those.
Oh,
And I'm like, it makes me wonder if, like, maybe before it would have been too much of an extra step, but now that they see that, they can go on over to their designated area. So, and then someone did reply to me and said, thank you for including the French Amazon link. And I was like, no problem, And so just those little things, those could have been extra little sales that I wouldn't have gotten, but I made the extra point to do it,
Yeah.
And then the final thing that I would say about this, and you can interrupt me if I'm talking too much, but is the automation. And we kind of talked about that, but like set up like a automation sequence so that you're not having to do all this. So basically when they sign up for your newsletter, it's like, hey, thank you so much. I'm Kay Webster. This is a little bit about me. Here's my face, enjoy this free book just for signing up. And they probably already got a free book because they just signed up. But this is like, oh, you get another goodie because I like you, and then they get that. And then it's set up like 2 days later to send them another email that says, did you enjoy that book? Well, the second one in the series is this. Here is the stuff. Da 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 da. And then a couple of days later, it says, oh, I've got another freebie for you, friend, or whatever. And they're like, oh, I got another one. And then I think the fourth one's like, last one, it's one of my most popular books. And this one you get to download for free, just for being a part of my newsletter. And I can see where, like I like to look at the metrics and I can see where these people are clicking along through and, staying in there. And yeah, I'd have people unsubscribe and stuff half the time, like once they get their goodie. But a lot of times if they're staying through there to get that, then they think, what else she got?
What else is she gonna give me?
Right, yeah. Like I don't want to unsubscribe because she might have more goodies. So okay, so the next one is, you want to talk about approaching bloggers and readers?
Yes.
Another way.
This is super awkward and uncomfortable for the majority of us because we would rather people come to us versus us going to them. But if you are looking for readers that have a bigger chance of talking about you online, you can, first of all, make sure you're approaching the right reader, the right blogger, that you have seen their content and know that they post. If you write rockstar romance and you find a blogger who that's like her passion is reading rockstar romances, do not hesitate to drop into their DMs. You don't have to, you have to be careful. Can't be forceful about it, but just be like, hey, I noticed that you read rockstar romance and I have this new series. If you're willing to, read book 1 or interested at all, here's the blurb. Let me know. I'll send you a free copy. Mm-hmm. If they read that book and they love it, there's a good chance they're going to talk about it. Right. And the more eyes, the better. So don't hesitate to approach bloggers and readers. It's super awkward and uncomfortable, but I've done it a few times myself, and it has always paid off for me.
Right. And another thing is don't always think, what can I get out of this? What can I get out of this? Try to think about what you can also give back. So even if that's just, they interacting with their TikToks and being like, oh, that's so cute. I mean, like, be genuine, but like give something of yourself too. Yeah. Like, don't just expect, like, I want you to read my stuff. Will you please, please, please? Because then it's kind of like, you don't want to seem desperate. You want to seem like, like we're all book friends here. Obviously I've done the research. I can tell that you would like this because you like XYZ books, which I also like. So I know you're going to like this one. So instead of just being like, please read my book, it's, get some relationship going there. So, that just goes back to our first topic about, building relationships. And again, these things take time, but these are things that you can do literally when you're watching TV and you're kind of bored and you're scrolling through your phone, click on a few posts, look at this, look at that. Like, it doesn't have to take away from your time with your kids or your work or, cleaning the house. I mean, you might want it to take away from cleaning the house, but these are things that, everybody sits and looks on their phone. So instead of just mindlessly scrolling through whatever you normally would look at, take a couple minutes to go interact with some. And I do have to think to myself, okay, Christy, go out there and actually look at other people's TikToks. Okay. Don't just look at your own, because it is tends to be like a distracting place, and it is easy to get sucked into those and just kind of like mindlessly scroll through them. So it's like, okay,
You have to
go
have an intention when you're doing it.
right, like
Otherwise,
go and go check out some other book stuff, and you do have fun because you're a book nerd too, so you're like, oh, this is cool, this is cute, oh, that was funny, and you're being genuine and you're interacting, and so that's just a really good way to get readers. And you would be surprised how many people do want to read or do want to help out,
yeah.
and an ebook doesn't cost you anything. And then if you want to go one step further, if you do have a little bit of, say you had some money after you got your royalties and you wanted to, send to as a thank you to one of your bloggers or whatever that helped you out or whatever. TikTok is very visual. So a lot of times if they get like a goodie with a sweet note, they're going to talk about it, and be, that's just another way to kind of get yourself out there. So, and you
Yeah.
could do it small scale. It doesn't have to be like, okay, I'm going to send 500 books to all the bloggers and spend 80 bazillion dollars. You could just be like, okay, I really had a connection with XYZ blogger this month, and I really want to, spend 20 bucks and send her a book and a thank you card signed to
Yeah.
her, and that kind of stuff really does make an impact. And like I said before, you're not just trying to make the sale, you're trying to build relationships, because that's like the foundation, and these become your super fans and they will show up every time. So you're investing in your future when you do that. So
Yeah.
the other thing I was going to say was writing a reader magnet. And I think you've got a few that you've done.
Yeah.
But people,
I haven't done it in a really long time
I
though.
know, and you need to. People don't talk about this enough, and I've really been focusing on it lately, pulling past reader magnets that I've made and repurposing them in short stories and stuff like that. But basically, a reader magnet is like it could be a full story or a novella or a short story, something that is you're going to basically give it to them, and then it's going to like lead them into something else that could potentially pay off for you later. So, you give away your free short story, and then at the end you're like, and you want to be strategic about it. You don't want to just write willy-nilly like, okay, here's a cute little Easter story about my characters. Okay, well, do you have like an Easter book that you want to like push them over? Like there's got to be like something that you're trying to push them to. So for instance, if you had like a mafia romance series and you've got 3 books in the series and you're like, okay, well, sales are stalled and nobody's really going to it. Well, maybe you could write um, like a little
Prequel.
prequel about that character, or maybe about one of the side characters or the dad, or just anything that's a chapter long, 2 chapters long, something that gives them a little tease, a glimpse into your writing. Maybe it could even be a little steamy, like something that will hook them and draw them in. And you really don't have to put that much time or effort into it, because, to write a chapter or 2, that could take anywhere from a couple hours to a day to a week. Regardless, that's not very much time for you to put into something that could lead into money. And I just feel like people should be doing this more, and pushing those freebie things, that they have, because not only are you sending them to another book once they like it, but you're also hopefully capturing them for your newsletter,
Yeah.
like, hey, please sign up for my newsletter for this if you want to get more cool stuff like this. And then they sign up, and then, oh, also here's this amazing story. They read it, and of course it's not long enough because they want more, and that's kind of the
Right.
point. It's just to hook them, and then they're like, okay, I'm gonna go read more. So I think it's smart to do, and I feel like everybody's got a little short story in them that they could whip out.
Yeah.
And these don't necessarily have to go through all the tough chains of 10 editors and beta readers. And like, literally, you've sent me short stories before that I've just read through and helped you if there was any errors or whatever,
Right.
or you could have a friend proofread it or something. Like, they don't have to be like so intensely done, you know?
Yeah, you don't have to go through 2 rounds of edits and, line edits and content editing and
Right, right.
proofreading.
And I even have some that I didn't even do a real cover for. Like I just did a black cover with white words that they can like, and it'll be at the end of a story that'll say, oh, you want to read more about this character? I have a short little story. Go read it here. And they just, go on over to Book Funnel or whatever and read the rest of it. And so there's really not anything that you're putting out, that's something that can be pretty much free for you to do. So I definitely recommend that.
You have to I have the hardest time with that. Like I would love to use some of my novellas that I've written for Briggs Ferry Bay, right? Because it would be awesome to lead readers into that series. But us KU authors, you have to be careful about that. You can't put anything that you have in KU, you can't offer it for free anywhere else. So just keep that in mind.
Right. So you would want to write something that's new and fresh and not anywhere else.
Right.
Which that's basically what all mine are anyway. And that way, and like we had talked about earlier before we came on, not even, some people are like, oh, I wrote this for an anthology, which I do that a lot. I take stuff that comes out of anthologies and I put that back out as my freebie, because a lot of times they're like 10,000 words or less. Right. And so those are great whenever those come out, but you really could just think about any of your books. And even if you only had one book, even if you're still writing your first book, you need to think of a short little story that you could use to get them going over there, or even after they've read it while they're waiting on book 2 or the next book you're going to write. You could say, oh, you want more of them, go check it out here, this bonus story or whatever.
Yeah.
Almost think of it as like an extended epilogue.
Right.
So and I've done that before. I did that with my Cinderella trilogy. At the end I wrote an extra epilogue or whatever, and people loved it. So it was their wedding night. So
yeah. I have to excuse if you can hear the dogs barking. I have no one here to keep my dogs from losing their ever-loving minds. Usually I have someone there keeping them entertained, but
it happens.
It's clearly not happening right now.
They're fast.
Quick.
So let's see. Other
nothing if not professional.
Right. Hey,
damn it.
This is what makes us relatable. What can we say? My dog's napping, but I'm sure if someone knocks on the door, we will hear her bark too. So the other thing that I was going to say was, you were wanting to talk about this, was newsletter swaps.
Yes. You find authors that are within your genre, within, the same type of book that you're writing. Again, if you're writing rockstar romance, find authors who also write rockstar romance. Make sure you're swapping with other authors who, if you're in KU, find a KU author. If you're wide, find a wide author. It's not as beneficial if you swap with a wide author when you're KU. And a lot of authors will just say, yeah, sure. Yeah, or they have a schedule that they'll put you on or whatever. And that's a way to get your book in front of new readers that is absolutely free to you. Just make sure you're fulfilling your end and also putting their stuff into your newsletter.
Right. And you would be surprised too. Like people think, well, I don't know anybody. I want someone who has a lot of newsletter subscribers and everything. It's not always like, that's not really the way of going about it. It's about, like you said, finding like-minded readers that will also connect and be interested in your stuff. And just because you think someone doesn't have a lot of newsletter subscribers doesn't mean that they don't. Like you don't know, like maybe you don't see them ranking on Amazon, but maybe they're killing it over there on TikTok and they've got them a lot of subscribers. You just don't know.
Maybe they just have a few subscribers, but they're super involved in that author. So they're gonna open that newsletter, they're gonna read it, they're gonna see it. You can't think the big game right away.
Right. So it's better to keep an open mind. Again, you're making relationships with people and and showing that they can trust you, that you're going to put them in their newsletter and reciprocate. And I mean, these things all do kind of take time, but like, these books are a long game. They're not just a one and done. Like, they can continue to make money forever and ever and ever if you'll let them. So let them, and build a great foundation so that it can continue to do this for you. So that's definitely a big point. We're getting close to the end here. One of the ones that we wanted to talk about was coming up with like fresh content. So a lot of people are like, well, I can't afford to have more teasers made and I suck at art. Okay, well, I get that. Like, so but you're recycling the same 5 teasers in your post. So why not, take a picture of, you holding your book outside, like, just there's just so many things. Or flip it open to show us the formatting, or show us the back, like, show us a stack of all the books with all the spines. Ooh, that's pretty. Like, just come up with new things or new ways to tell us about your book, and not a way that's just like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, because people get to where they just look over that because it's like they've seen it before. But you give them something completely different, like your book's stacked next to a funny coffee mug that says something funny. You're like, what does that coffee mug say? And then you're like, oh, those books look pretty. I wonder what that's about. Oh, and then she said something funny here, or interesting.
Yesterday I posted a picture of our Briggs Ferry Bay omnibus, and my nails match the cover, and I posted that. I get so much more interaction from a picture like that than I do just posting a teaser and the blurb or whatever.
Right, exactly. And yeah, people love pictures of books. I love pictures of books. I scroll all the time through Pinterest and Instagram just to look at pictures of books. I will Google pictures of books because I like to look at books. So there's a million people like me that like to look at book covers, I don't know, there's just something that about seeing a book that makes me warm and fuzzy inside. So you show me a teaser and I'm like, that's cool. I might appreciate the art. I might like the quote and think, ooh, that sounds hot. But there's just something about seeing a book that makes me stop to look at it. Like, I've just always been that way. And I know I'm not the only person around. And that's probably why I like to have so many physical copies and I have a million books in here, because I like to look at them. It just makes me happy. So show your books. So many people are like, well, I'm an author, but they don't really show us like into their world or anything. It's like, show us. We want to see, like, we're curious. Your peers are curious, your family's curious, your friends are curious, the people that don't know you are curious, like, let us see them.
Yeah.
And you could even do like we talked about, like a screenshot of the Kindle, like highlighting a passage. If you don't want to make it, that doesn't cost you anything. And if it's a steamy kind of part, you can black out the curse words or the naughty words if you want, depending on where you're posting. But people will get the idea and they'll be like, ooh.
And honestly, like a blackout or a blurred word, that can kind of even help you.
Right.
People are like, ooh, what word is it? Let me see. Let me read this,
They fill in the blanks. They're smart enough. And then they're like, this is naughty. I like this book, and it doesn't even have to be a naughty book. So say you're not a romance writer. Say you write thrillers. Okay, show us a scene that's really like heart stopping, we're just like, oh my gosh, like that was intense. Like, people read those little things. People consume things in little small chunks. So give them a little chunk, give them a little bite, and I really tell you, they'll look at it. Okay. The final thing, the 7th thing, and we alluded to it several times, but it was create a schedule for your posts and your content, so you'll keep it going, because consistency is how you stay in front of your audience. They are trusting you to show up, whether that's with a picture or a post or a comment. Yes, it kind of feels exhausting, but if you can at least make sure that you're posting, you don't have to be all crazy and doing 3 TikToks a day, but maybe your goal is to start off with 2 a week. Okay, well, put those on your schedule and make sure you're doing them, or like today when we get off of here, I'm fixing to record at least 7 TikToks so that I can get myself through the next several days until I have to put makeup on again.
Mhm.
So you're basically, I mean, get your little notebook out while your kids are hollering and, say you're outside and they're playing under the sprinkler at summertime. Start jotting down all the things that you think that you could do. This is stuff that you can do that's not going to cost anything. It's really not going to take up all of your attention and time as you brainstorm. And then when the kids are down for a nap or they go to bed at night or whatever, take an hour of your time or 30 minutes of your time and be like, okay, on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I'm doing this. I'm putting it in my calendar. Just help. Doing a schedule is going to help. It really will.
Yeah.
And luckily,
Agreed.
most of these things will allow you to pre-schedule,
Mhm.
So, and that's where, like you used to help me and now my sister helps me, and we just get that stuff scheduled to where it's just like clockwork, like boom, 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 boom. But instead of just being that, let's do the same thing, we're like trying to mix it up and throw in different things so that people are like, what's that? I want to look at that,
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yay. There's our 7 tips.
Yay. Okay, so I'm thinking that I should maybe like make like a little printable graphic or something for them.
Yeah.
Like I've done before, like I just like put it where they can just print it off and we can put it on our website or something. Or
Yeah.
I don't know how they would get that. How would they get that?
I have no idea.
Well,
I'm
we'll
sure
figure it out.
we might be able to figure
Maybe
it
we
out,
could put
or
the
we'll have
link.
our producer figure it out.
Right. Yeah, our producer knows everything. Well, I think we could probably put the link in the YouTube comment area, maybe. Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
Well, anyway, so if we do that, we'll that way you can kind of have something to look at, and hopefully this podcast was helpful.
Yes.
And if there's like anything that people think that we should talk about,
Yeah,
working,
any questions, leave them there.
yeah. Because I mean,
I
this
have
basically spawned from a question yesterday that girl asked me. So
right.
uh, there's things that you and I take for granted because we've just been doing this for a long time, but there's other people that they don't know,
Yeah.
So, and we are open book besties. We are opening our books and telling you whatever you need to know.
Okay, we have 10 minutes.
Okay, we're at
We
our
gotta
favorite
rapid
part.
fire through this. What we're reading, what we're listening to, go for it.
Okay, you want me to go first?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I just finished reading a bunch. I read Fearless and Fabulous by Kara Alwill Leba.
She's still on a self-help kick, guys.
I know. You know what? And I'm going to come up with a different word from self-help, because I just feel like that means like maybe this is like a self-amplifying journey or something. I don't know. I feel like there's got to be a better word.
Self-discovery.
Yeah, something cool. That one was good. And then I read The Entrepreneur Roller Coaster by Darren Hardy. That was really good. I really enjoyed that one. I ended up buying another book by him. I haven't read it, but I bought it in hardback form now because I really liked his style. Then I read Influencer by Brittany Hennessy. That one was good. It was kind of dated, but and it's for like actual influencers, but I was able to use like the information that I was learning from her and adapt it for being an author. So, and again, I got all these these were all free, I think, for the Audible thing. I don't know what it is, and then I got this one book and I couldn't listen to it. And then I got this really good book that I'm listening to right now, and it's called Chillpreneur by Denise Duffield Thomas. And she is Australian. And I was telling you, she is me, but the Australian me. And I absolutely love listening to her. And I relate to her so hard. And she's flawed and silly and just a mom. And there's just so many things. She's a go-getter. And, she, like I was telling you, she's had like 27 businesses, and because she like gets these ideas and then she goes after them, and then she's like, no, I don't like that no more, and then she goes after something else. And I don't know, I relate to that, and it's so good. Anyway, that's what I'm listening to. And then what I'm reading with my eyeballs is called Get Good with Money by Tiffany Alich. She's the budgetnista, and she
Mm.
actually created like a what is it? Not a law, but what is it when they put a my brain is not working, where they put something into place and they, I guess that's not a law, is it? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Like a rule?
Kind of, but like, okay, so basically what she wanted is she advocated for middle schools in her town or her state
Oh, I see.
to teach finance in middle school. And I thought that was really amazing because nobody taught me about finance. I just didn't learn about it until I became an adult. And I just feel like I could have been so much more prepared for the world if I had learned a lot of these things
Yeah.
rather than just accounting class.
History and yeah,
Yeah, like
it's
I
so
wanted
important
to,
to have real life.
right. And so, but anyway, her book is 10 Steps to Becoming Financially Whole. And I love her because she is so like, old her was so gullible, and she basically believed people when they were out telling her they were going to help her and everything, and they didn't, and they took advantage of her, and she was just very naive. And but she learned through those mistakes, and then she twisted, this terrible thing that had happened to her into something where she could help people. And she talks about all these things, investing and debt, getting rid of debt, making extra income, just all these different things. And it's so, I just love it. I just love her style, how she, I'm already like, I already stalked her on LinkedIn. So I didn't tell you about my newest habit, but LinkedIn is my new habit.
Mm.
Which kind of goes with all the self-help stuff, obviously, but
Yeah, yeah.
so that's all I'm reading.
Okay. Mine are now going to seem
Yours are going to sound good and entertaining. Mine are going to bore everybody.
So I have been eyeball reading. Okay, I eyeball read Riptide by Lee Lennon, and the story on that one is so good and so hot. It's a couple, and they have an open relationship. I don't know if that's what it is, because they don't like go out on their own. They only invite like a third into their relationship for like a night, and then that's it. But for their honeymoon, they go to this resort where like they specialize in that. So their first night, they like the resort will not hire someone to like sleep with you, but hire someone to like entertain you, kind of like a striptease or whatever. And then on their own time they can agree to stay or whatever. So, very legal. And the first night they meet this guy, and this guy is so sweet. He's raising his sister's baby, and he has all of these hardships in his life. And this couple, they just adore him right from the get-go, and it's just super sweet. I loved the storyline. Eyeball read that one. And now I am eyeball reading Port City Killers by Ashley Michelle. This is her debut book, and it's dark. It has really good representation, like LGBTQ plus. It's really great. It's dark, so read the
Cool.
triggers first. But so I am eyeball reading that one currently, and I cannot stop listening to audiobooks. At some point, my husband is going to ban me. Maybe I shouldn't talk about this because then he'll go and look into it. Okay, never mind. Or maybe I'll just be like, do not listen to the last 10 minutes of this podcast because right. I'm giving away all my secrets. But I've been on a huge audiobook kick. I listened to The Assignment by Penelope Ward, which I just love her books. They're just such like easy listens, they're super entertaining, always has always has really good characters. Like I like her books. So I listened to that one. And then I listened to a motorcycle club series by Crystal Daniels and Sandy Alvarez.
Mhm.
Riggs, Nova, and Kiwi. Those are the only ones that are on Audible right now, but they were so good and super entertaining. And it takes place in Louisiana. So
Mhm.
the narrator in the first two books, the main characters are from New Orleans.
Oh.
So the narrator has this accent, and
Oh.
oh my gosh, I can't even tell you how hot it is when he calls her baby. Like he puts a different spin on it that I'm not even going to try to replicate and embarrass myself. But oh my gosh, it's so good. So, and then the third book, he's from New Zealand. So he has like that Kiwi accent.
Mhm.
And that was really good too. So I'm desperately waiting for the rest of them to come on to Audible. And then I had to get back on my Rena Kent um uh
Binge.
I can't think of binge. And I listened to Empire of Lust and Empire of Hate. I just love her books.
Mhm.
She's one of those authors that does not put herself out there
Mhm.
and is still hugely successful, but she is the exception to the rule, and I just absolutely love her books. And then Kylie Scott. Do you know who Kylie Scott is? Obviously.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, of course you do. Duh. So I started seeing her TikToks pop up because she just joined recently. And she was talking about the Stage Dive series, which was one of the first audiobooks that I ever listened to, was that series. And I felt like such a passion for these books. I love them, absolutely love them. And she was talking about them and talking a little bit more about like her inspiration and who she pictures for the characters and things, which is a really good idea for TikToks, by the way.
Mhm.
And so I started listening to her Stage Dive series again, like re-listening to it, and I can't even tell you, they're fast paced, super sexy. Mal, one of the guys on the band, I mean, he has everybody's heart that's ever read the book. So I
Aw.
can't claim him for myself, but he's so funny, and yeah, just love those books. So I've been doing a lot of listening lately.
Yeah, you have. I think we both have. Well, you more so than usual, and me more so than usual, but totally different things.
Yeah, we're on different paths here.
Well, you're more consistent. You listen to the same type of stuff, whereas
Yeah,
I just go through spells, and I
yeah,
will
you're a
listen
mood
to,
reader for
yeah, I
sure.
will, and it's like I will be in my fantasy kick, or I'll be in my YA kick, or I'll be in my MM kick, or I'll be in my
Yeah.
zombies kick, and right now it's in the self-amplification kick. But
Yep.
who knows what'll be next?
I know. There's literally no telling.
There is no telling.
Nobody, actually, we could probably place bets because the options are so vast. Never
It's
know.
totally
Never
random.
know what wild hair is going to crawl up your ass.
I know.
Oh, okay. That's our show. Thank you so much for listening, for being here. Please go check out, if you're listening to this on a podcast, go check out our YouTube,
Leave us
subscribe,
comments.
leave
Let
us
us know how.
comments.
If you liked this video, give us a little thumbs up. If you didn't, just walk away. I'm just kidding.
Keep scrolling.
I'm just kidding. No, that we're really excited to hear your comments and stuff, and we're hoping that this year we will double our subscribers.
Yes.
That's doable, right?
Yeah.
And hopefully get our podcast out there to, if to other authors who are trying to learn some things, and to readers who are curious about the whole process and learning about what goes into all of it, because I feel like even that is interesting to readers,
Yeah.
like the process. Like you'll talk about, like on TikToks and stuff, they want to see a glimpse into our world. It's not like, a lot of people are like, the readers don't need to know about all the ins and outs, but if they want to know about it, they can listen.
Yeah.
I mean, before I did, I was curious about those things. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. Okay. We will be back in 2 weeks. Maybe a little bit less because we didn't record on Sunday.
Yeah, it was Mother's Day.
Yeah, it was Mother's Day. We were taking a Mother's Day. We deserve it. So we will be back in 2 weeks, and take care of each other. Bye.